All righty. So we are here. I can see everything, I believe. We're just going to see who's in the chat. Am I in the live control room? No, I'm not. Well, I'm here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go here. Copy. Hello, everybody. All right. So we are going live. We're live over here. At least I think we are. This one go off. There we go. We're a minute in. And I'm the only one here. Well, we're having a little trouble with the stream, so we might be in and out. Just have to open up a YouTube window here real quick. Oh, there we are. There we go. Hey, everybody. Now I can see who's here. We've got Canadian Maker Project. We got Minnesota Maker, Paul Taylor, Canadian, well, I said Canadian Maker Project. Christopher, Rock. Good evening, guys. How is everybody this evening? This is not supposed to be our anniversary live stream. I don't know why I did that, but oh well. Hey, there's Fragments. How are you, Frag? I hear, oh, that's me typing. Hey, there's Rover. Everybody's coming on over. Oh, that just came out wrong. Now, let's see if I can bring you guys in on the stream. I should be able to. Why is it not opening where I want it to open? Hey, Thomas, how are you? What is this channel about? Well, this channel is all about exploring the world of 3D printing. Hey, there's Brian Baker. Brian can see us, but he can't hear us. I can't see any buttons either. It's really weird. Johnny, thank you very much. I have something to drink here this evening. I've got a print on the printer. Now, I don't know why Brian, do you know why we're not getting anything in the... Let me see if I can... Let me just see if I can switch cameras here. Oh, it will switch cameras. Okay. But for some reason, I'm just not getting what I need. So this was supposed to be a live hangout, so you guys could come in tonight. I don't know what's going on, but we're going to do what makes it right and good for you. I'm going to look at the chat here. If I switch, the audio drops out. Yeah. I don't know why. Oh, well. This is one of the first live streams we're doing from my home, so it's a whole different setup than what we have at the studio. Hello, Jerry. Thank you for reposting. Sorry, I don't know what happened to the other channel, but it didn't come up. Fragments is asking me about the soap. Did I drop the soap? No. The soap is still on the printer, and it is almost done. I printed the soap at 200%. So if you happen to go to jail, well, guess what? It's really easy not to drop this giant bar of soap. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about 3D printing. I want to cover a topic that you guys know I've covered many times before. We're going to cover a couple of things tonight, and that's what Friday nights are going to be all about. Where we can talk, we can hang out. I got to take off those headphones because I'm getting an echo that it's throwing me off. So we're going to talk a little bit about, first and foremost, file sharing. And this is an ugly topic. Nobody wants to talk about file sharing, and I get it. File sharing is a pain in the ass because it hurts a lot of people. Recently, I've come into some information about one of our designers. I'm not going to name names, but one of our designers is no longer going to be designing brand new 3D models for sale on his website. And I will tell you why that's happening. The reason for that happening is because people are sharing his files. Now, this individual doesn't sell his files for a whole lot of money. I've seen his models. I've purchased many of his models, and it's not a great expense. So when we go to sites that have paid models and we then share the models that we bought with somebody else who is giving you maybe models that they bought, there comes into play an ethics issue. And I don't really want to make this a big thing, but when we start losing great designers online because we are sharing files, and I'm not saying that anybody in this group this evening is sharing files. What I do want to say, though, is that if you have shared files that you've purchased, is that within your right? It's a gray area. In the license documentation of models that you download, a lot of them, if not all of them, specifically share or say not to share this file. Because what that does is independent designers, people that aren't associated with companies like Gambody or some of the others that are out there, and they're slipping my mind. If somebody can let me know. What it does is it takes money and food and resources out of the pockets of those designers. So if you have thought about sharing models, I want to encourage you not to do that practice. If somebody comes to ask you about them, guess what? Say no. Just say no, because you're only hurting the community as a whole. Now, some people are going to argue with me, well, I paid for it. It's mine to do with what I want, yada, yada, yada. Actually, it's not. And I'll tell you why it's not. It falls into that same category as music and DVDs. Something that an artist created is not necessarily his intellectual property, but it is his copyright or her copyright because they designed the file. They may have taken a character from a video game or a movie or a comic book and made something which is considered art, which has its own copyright. So if you are sharing a file that you bought, you're not buying the physical model, you're buying art. And that comes with its own set of issues. And don't share them. Don't give them away. Don't get into collections with other people. I know we live in a tough economic time, and I'm going to address some of your comments here in just a few minutes. But what happens is we all suffer as a whole. There are some great designers, absolutely top-notch designers, and they have been making models. And I know of two right now that are no longer making models because people have been sharing their files. They've been now finding them on sharing sites and things like that. I am going to tell you this straight up. If you are in any of our groups, whether it be on our Facebook group on the First Layer or part of our YouTube group or any of the other groups that we have, if you are found to be sharing files, we unfortunately are going to have to eliminate you from those groups because that's not the kind of attitude we want to foster. And I support these designers 100%. Like I said, I have many models in my stable. Some of them have been sent to me as gifts, and I still don't share them. Recently, somebody asked me about the head sculpt that was done by Sergio over at Malik 3 Design, asked me if I would share that file with them. And ethically, I said no. Even though that person knows Sergio very well, I still went to Sergio first and said, I've been approached to and asked if I would share this particular file. Ethically, I don't think it's right. What do you think? Now, with Sergio's blessing that he gave me, he said, go ahead. It is yours. It was a gift. You can go ahead and share that particular file if you so choose. So I did share that file. Now, I want to take a look over here. I'm here, but no video. Okay. Johnny says, with an awesome host, thank you very much again. Just go with it, Frag says. Soap. Brian Baker, if you switch the audio drops out, okay. Hello, reposted again. Okay, I got that one. Good to see you. Thank you, sir. Frag says they started a Discord channel. Minnesota Maker, hello, sir. Paul Taylor, hi. We have Rover monitoring things tonight. There's Rex, hello, sir. And Johnny Gardner, hello. They want the model they need. If they want a model, you're right. If they want a model, they need to pay for it. I am fully in agreement, and I'm fully backing the designers on this. It's really too bad that we are losing designers because of this practice, and it really cheeses me off. Excuse me, I just had supper. Now, Rover is monitoring our chat this evening. He's our moderator this evening, as well as Brian Baker. I will give you guys one little warning this evening. If you are coming on for the first time, we welcome you. If this is your first time to anything for the First Layer, I welcome you. But what we are not doing this evening is self-promoting. If I see somebody here who's got a channel that I know about, by all means, I will promote you because you promote us in your day-to-day routines when you do your own streams and things like that. Asking the community to help support something for you is a no-no, and you will be banned from the rest of this conversation this evening. Rover is making sure of that. Rover and both Brian are making sure of that. So self-promotion for your channel, just, kind of give me a heads up. If you'd like to say something about your channel, just put something here in the chat that says, hey, can I send out a shout out from my channel to somebody? And chances are we may say yes. But if you are asking for money for your Patreon, if you're asking for money for buy me a coffee, if you're asking for money for building a new printer, that's all a no-no this evening. So we'll continue on. How do we share this live stream? That is a very good question. I don't know. Oh, that's for time lapses. We're not doing time lapses. Copy and paste. There you go. Copy and paste the. Got it. See, I don't know everything. Something else came up to me today that I want to briefly touch on this evening, and then we're going to get right back into 3D printing. I got to go over to 3D printer and grab something right away. But one of the things that came up today was about Cleveland Media Group, which is my company that I own and I've owned for many years. It originally was Naked Ape Productions. Naked Ape Productions has been around for 10 plus years now. We've done a variety of shows. We started out using just little tiny camcorders and webcams like you're seeing me on this evening. And over that 10 years, I've built up the equipment that I use here at home, the equipment that I use in the studio at Spool 3D. Full disclosure, Spool 3D was kind enough when I was thinking about doing a show like this for everybody to ask me if I would like to do it at their location. They had space available, so that's why I'm there every day. Now, with that, he gets an added benefit because I do work for him on the side as well. So full disclosure right there, I am not an employee of Spool 3D, although I have Spool 3D product in the background. I am not a employee of Spool 3D. I am employed by my own company, which is Cleveland Media Group, and our focus is doing stuff like we're doing this evening and like we do on a regular basis throughout the week. So for all of those that are new here, thank you very much. I'm not going to bother hitting that little subscribe. I got no lower thirds prepped for tonight because it was a long day. So we're just going to go ahead and talk about 3D printing. Give me 1 second. I'm going to head over to the printer and I'm going to grab something. All right. So I am back. Why does my chat keep disappearing? There it is. All right. So let's quickly catch up here. Rover, trick for those here of you who want to check person's YT channel, mouse over the person's name, click the three dots, then open a new tab window and go to the channel. Okay. If you haven't had a chance, Brian Baker saying, check out my new printer bracing on the Facebook group. Yes, Brian was in the shop with me today. Brian has been on holidays because, as most of you guys know, he had his tonsils taken out. So he was he's been showing up at the studio quite a bit. And we've been working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes to bring you guys a better experience. Of course, tonight is not one of those better experiences. Thanks for the heads up, Frag. Been wanting to catch one of these. Well, welcome, Greg. Welcome. Oh, ice cream. Ice cream. I love ice cream. So let me show you first. Here is the XYZ cube. You guys have seen many of these. Me do many of these before. I always do mine really big. So this is a 60 by 60 by 60. And as you can see, this is on the CR10, pretty much stock. As you can see, there is no ringing No ghosting lines. Same thing on the X, no ghosting lines. This is done at 0.2 millimeters in Simplify 3D and using the gray PLA from Spool 3D. How do I get, let's look at the Z, the top of that. That's actually pretty darn decent. I'm happy with that. So I get a lot of questions. How do I get such good prints? Well, I'm like you guys. I don't always get good prints. My prints sometimes turn out pretty horrendous. And recently, my prints on one of my CR10s was just going all over the place, and I couldn't figure out why. And then it got jammed. And so I cleaned out the jam. And I have something to actually talk to you guys about regarding that. And I am going to show you that tonight. But first and foremost, I had a jam, and that I cleaned out, and I got it printing again. And then what had happened, hey, there's 3D Medic Vince. Good evening, sir. What had happened is it had shifted on the X-axis. So I was getting some shifting up in here and it was very random, and it was trying to correct itself. So I took that to the shop with me and had a look at it. And then I got home and light bulb went off in my head. And I thought, oh, maybe my gear, my tooth gear is slipping on the X motor. Sure enough, it was slipping on the X motor. So I turned around and took off the cover, tightened it up. Now it's working absolutely beautiful. And that's the kind of quality I'm getting off of my CR10. And here's the kicker, guys. It's pretty much stock. I'm using the stock hot end. The only thing I've done to this is I've put on some stepper dampeners on the X, one on the X and one on the Y. And that is it. I print at 40 millimeters per second. I'm not crazy. I don't go up to, 60, 80, 100, 120, 300 like some people do. But it does give me a very good result. Now, Johnny's asking, when you enlarge a model, how do you get a good print? Mine gets real thin. Okay, how you get a good print is you're going to have to increase your walls. If you make something bigger, what I usually do is I increase the wall thickness for starters. So if it's, or your outer perimeters, depending on which program you're using. I use Simplify 3D, but if you're using Cura, you're going to use how many walls or how many perimeters. And you can change that right in Cura from 1, 2, 3, and make as many as you want. I typically use 3 on a 0.2 millimeter layer height. I'll usually do 4 top layers, 4 bottom layers, 3 walls. That gives me a nice solid part, doesn't break very easily, and I can keep it around. Now, seeing as Frag is in the house this evening, I need to show you guys this. Now, my wife has been working on this to fill in some of the imperfections from the printing, and she has been tirelessly sanding. It's smooth. It just needs to be washed real quick, and then we're going to put it into primer, and she'll probably do a little bit more wet sanding with it. But this is Superman, and you guys have seen this. This was a free download along with the Hulk. And this thing came out remarkably well. There was a little bit of a skip here. I had a little bit of a layer line that I had to fill in, or actually my wife filled in. I didn't do it. And she did a really good job of cleaning it all up all the way around. So now we'll go ahead and put this into primer. But this had to be reduced in size from 100% down to 60%. I think I brought it down to 60% so that it would fit on the CR10 as one piece. Now, it was printed on this flat base, so and there is another piece that has to be printed so that it sits, kind of like so. And what we're going to do with this one is, I think when I paint this guy up, I'm going to paint him up to resemble more of the Crisis Superman, the later Crisis Superman. So we're going to put a little bit of white in the temples here in his hair because he just has a very grizzled look. Like, check that out. Like, he's got a really grizzled look. And that red looks like a scar. But yeah, it actually came out really well. I'm really impressed by this. I thank my wife for doing all the hard work because she cleans up all the models now. She doesn't let me clean them up at all anymore. So yes, that is Meg's. Mine is the Reeves. That's true. And I don't have the Reeves yet, but I will get the Reeves. But this, yes, this is, you're absolutely right about that. This is Meg's, and it's a beautiful model for all intent and purposes. Brian Baker, 40 millimeters may be slow, but it's reliable. Absolutely. And that's why I print everything at 40 millimeters, because it is reliable. Now, forgive the stockpile of wood in my background. This is what's going to be my home studio, and I really haven't gotten into fixing it. I have to finish it. Scale jokes. Guys are all talking about scale. Wow. How long was that print? That print was 7 days, if I recall correctly. 24/7. So a complete week is what it took to print that. So I hope that answered your question, Johnny. Why does that keep disappearing? There we go. How accurate is that 60 times 3? I'm not sure. Measured. 3D Medic Vince. Yes, I did say hi to 3D Medic Vince. 60 millimeters is reliable on the Ender 2, but that's only because the bed is so small. That's Ben Brady, my good friend Ben Brady. It is quite small on that machine, so you can go a little bit faster. Remember, the larger you scale up a printer, the more you have for vibration going through the entire thing. So the bigger the printer, the more vibration in the printer, the lower you should have your speed, the lower you should have your jerk settings and your acceleration. The smaller the printer, you can go higher. Absolutely. So yeah, I've never used the Ender 2. I don't have one. Frag is saying, Jesus, I need a bigger printer. Mine's a Cadillac. Wasn't skilled when I got into printing, so I bought them versus building. The Ender 3 does rock. Let's talk about the Ender 3 today. My Ender 3 blew up today. For anybody that is interested in that little story, we had Brian and I were at the shop today. Brian came in a little later than I did, and he comes to me and he goes, "Hey, there's something burning in your office." And I went, "What?" He says, "There's something burning in your office." "Oh, are you sure?" He says, "Yeah." I thought maybe he was still on medication, but apparently not. So I went into my office and I could certainly smell something. And when I went over to where my printers are in my office at the studio, or at Spool 3D, which is also the studio, my office in the studio, I could smell it very prominently over by my Wanhao D6 and my Ender 3. Then I looked down and noticed that the bed was at 112 degrees. So immediately I shut everything off. Once everything was shut off, I let it all cool down, and we opened up the Ender 3 and found that the MOSFET for the heated bed had blown, because every time you turned it on, the heated bed would start to rise and rise and rise. And it dawned on us that it had to be a mechanical failure. So we opened it up, pulled out the board, and sure enough, we found that the MOSFET on that board, which is the Creality version 1, I think that's a version 1 board. That particular board, there's been a couple of issues with them. I know, and Derek over at Spool 3D had mentioned to me that mine now was the 3rd one that has had that very same problem. Now, whether this is just built on a Monday or built on a Friday or built on a Wednesday, who knows? But it just seemed to be an odd issue. So how I'm going to rectify that, and you guys will see that next week. I'll take you through what I did to fix that ender on an episode next week. But what I did was I took a MOSFET. Now, this is a really big MOSFET. I took a MOSFET and I added a MOSFET to the new board. Now, what that did was it now is going to allow this to handle all of that load as opposed to the board handling the load, and the board can do what the board does best, and that's just send the signal down the line. So am I going to recommend this for Ender 3? People, absolutely. There's a much smaller version of this now. This is a giant, you can see underneath there, there's the cap, but it's got this giant heat sink on it. So they've actually changed this a little bit. They've actually changed this a little bit, and just you can pick up these either from Spool 3D or you can pick them up online. I think you can get these actually MKS hotbed MOSFETs off of Amazon as well. I'll try and find a link for you guys and put it here in the chat. Let me just bring this over here, and I will look for a MOSFET for you. And here is the one that I'm going to be, mine is actually an MKS one, but let me just look up MKS MOSFET. There we go. Now, this is a link to a MOSFET on Amazon Canada, but you guys will get the idea. There's a link there in the chat. MOSFET 25, MKS MOSFET 25. So we got that mostly repaired. We're not completely finished repairing it, but we got it mostly repaired. And if you want something beefy like the one that I've got here, I got this one off of Amazon, I believe, originally, and this is an MKS. These are also sold under the name of Zinrub. Sodial also has these as well. Yes, Brian made us a brand new mount to put our MOSFET on because the MOSFET that we found online didn't fit this, or didn't fit the one that we put on. The one that we put on is about half the size of this one, but it will do just fine. Yeah, the MKS MOSFET 25. He didn't make a terrible mount. It's a pretty easy mount. It's got 2 holes in it. You're going to use M4 screws, a couple of M4 hammer nuts, and you should be fine. Ben's saying that I should do a 32-bit replacement to the board using the Duet Wi-Fi for the Ender 3. Well, as much as I would like to do that, those are not cheap boards. Just to give you an idea, retail on one of those boards from Spool 3D, and I will pull that up right away. It's nice having this to do. We need to go to what am I doing here? Duet Wi-Fi. That's what I need. The Duet Wi-Fi board, just so you guys are aware, the Duet Wi-Fi board retails in Canada for $229. That's more, well, that's almost as much as the printer is worth. We are going to do a 32-bit upgrade. Brian's going to do one on his CR10 soon. And Brian's just talking now in the chat about his gripe with it. Biggest gripe is that I cannot reuse the stock display and need to relocate the SD card slot. So those are some of the things that you're going to deal with by moving up to a board like that. The Duet Wi-Fi, don't get me wrong, that is an amazing board. Works very well, but you do need some additional pieces for it. You can use pretty much any touch screen. The MKS TFT32 version 4 touch screen is $55. The 28 version 3 touch screen is $39. So I'm a big fan of MKS Gen 1.4 boards, version 1.4 boards. So Grant says it's worth every penny. He bought one from Spool 3D. Well, thank you for buying from Spool 3D. I appreciate that very much. Ben saying you don't need the board, just use the web interface. I see. Brian's been doing a lot of work with Marlin 2.0, which is in beta right now, for anybody that doesn't know that. Brian Baker, who is the newest member to our team. Brian has a programming background, much like I have a programming background, but Brian is leaps and bounds ahead of me now because I haven't done it in so long. PM sent Rich. What he PM'd me. Now, Frag, did you send that to Facebook? You must have. Just going to go over there. Ah, there we go. Okay, I will look at that in just a little while. Yeah, today we're just doing... I can't do the Hangout. I don't know why it didn't default to the Hangout. I tried doing it, and I wanted it to be a Hangout so you guys could come in and we could talk and BS and talk about a bunch of great stuff. But we do have one new person who wants to join the group, Bob Lavie. Anybody know Bob Lavie? He's in 7 groups. He's from Terrebonne, Quebec. Another Canadian. So we will welcome him along with another member that I missed. Raymond Emsley. There we go. Okay, so let's go here. I'm doing stuff while we're talking. I've been tweaking some of the stuff in Marlin 1.19 this week as well. Ben, what have you been working on? I'm really interested to see that. I got to go down here. There's my frag files right there. Excuse me. A frag, just so you know, Rock. Hello, sir, new to 3D printing world. Well, you've come to the right place. Just so you know, Frag, I just want to let you know I have been working on the other model that we talked about that you sent to me, and I am having some small issues printing it. I think it's more orientation than anything else. And with everything that's gone on up until Halloween or this month, it's been crazy. So I'm going to get back to it, and we'll discuss more about what's going on with that. So Ben's saying that he's been modifying the menus and adding some choices for pet G settings under the preheat menu. That's actually pretty cool. So I would actually love to see those. That would be very cool. There we go. I'll just close up some of this stuff so this computer doesn't get overtaxed. Okay, welcome, Rock 3D Medic. See, this is what I love about our community, is that everybody welcomes everybody else. And that, to me, is the coolest thing. Absolutely love it. Everybody helps and everybody gets involved, and it really, at the end of the day, it really feels good. Okay, yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the lady a little bit later on. So yeah, anybody that's new, welcome to the show. Welcome to our little hangout this evening. I'm trying to do my best to get people into the hangout, but for whatever reason this evening it didn't work. So we'll try again in 2 weeks. We'll try and perfect that a little bit. I'll look into it a little bit more. We are doing a show on Monday. We have an episode coming up, and then we have another 3-Minute Thursday coming up this week as well. And then we will be back on Saturday with another show. So our schedule, just so you guys know, the schedule's changed a little bit. So on 1 week, it will be Monday, Thursday, Saturday. On the following week, it'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And every time we do a Friday show, it's going to be a live stream just like this. Yes, it is all adults. Brian says he's stuck at the Rec Room and Arcade in Calgary, so you wouldn't be able to hear me anyways. Yeah, I love having Brian. Brian has been a big asset to this show and to everything that we're trying to build and our community, and it's been really good. Now, I am going to give you guys a heads up on this particular live stream that at the end of October, we are suspending Patreon. And I'll tell you the reason why. We are going to stick with Buy Me a Coffee, even though, you know, it's a one-time service. The reason that we're going to suspend Patreon, and Brian and the whole team is on board with this, is because I don't have the time right now, as we're making all these new changes in the show and things like that, to keep up with Patreon. And it pains me to not have been able to fulfill my obligations to my Patreons. And if you're one of them, again, I apologize for not being able to keep up with that. It's been really, really tough. So for now, until we get the show on a regular roll, and I can, you know, dedicate more time to really working on Patreon, at the end of October, we are going to suspend it. So there will be no more Patreon in November. Grant Clark, is there a Maker Faire in Calgary? There has been in the past. There is not going to be one this year, however. I have spoken to Jason, the organizer of Maker Faire here in Calgary. There is not going to be one this year. I can't get into the reasons why there isn't going to be one, but this year has been tough all around here in Alberta. As for anybody that lives in Alberta that is on the live stream this evening, you know that we have had a recession here, and there just is no money for a Maker Faire this year, unfortunately. So what we are trying to do, I'll give you a little bit of a clue of what's working here for us, is we are going to be putting together, Brian and I and Derek from Spool 3D have been starting to work out things where we're going to do a Rep Rap Festival here in Calgary sometime in the third quarter of next year, of 2019. Okay, so let's just see here. 3D Medic Vince, small community. It is as I just met Bill Steele, a 3D Chameleon color change system at my local micro center. Talk about small world. Yes, it is a small world. Johnny is also saying here, will you have a different way to support y'all besides buy me a coffee? Not right now. Until we reach, here's the stupid thing is right now, we're kind of stuck in the middle. And tell you why I say that is because on YouTube finally gave us monetization. So when we do live streams like this, you can certainly use the little dollar amount down at the bottom here of the chat. You can see we have what's called super chat turned on. If you want to support the show, that's a great way to do it when we do a live stream. Buy me a coffee is probably going to be the only other way other than when we do these live streams to support the show. How you can really support the show right now in the interim until we're getting to our 10,000 subscribers. We're on the road to hitting 5,000 here pretty soon. I suspect we're going to hit 5,000 subs by the end of the year, if not early 2019. But once we reach 10,000, now you can then we get to turn on memberships. And what that is, it's going to kind of take over what Patreon does. So we can kind of keep everything in one house. Now, YouTube, my understanding is they take a little bit bigger cut. It is what it is. I mean, they give me a free platform to bring you guys entertainment, education on 3D printing every week, and I don't pay them to let me stream or let me upload a new video. So I think it's a pretty fair trade-off. Super chat works great if you have Google payments set up. Otherwise, you can always pay us cool stuff. That's something else I want to talk about, cool stuff. And Canadian Maker Project, who was here earlier, and I don't know if he's still here, I owe him some Maker coins that are still sitting in my studio. I mean to get them out to him, but unfortunately, I keep forgetting. With everything that's going on. I want to give you guys another view. This, you guys are going to laugh. Let me move this because it's got some important notes on it that you guys can't see. You can't see those notes. I'll put this over here. There's where I go. But this is, I bumped my desk, and this is what it looks like right now, where I do all my painting. Are you ready? Here we go. This is where I do all of my painting. And you can see that right now I had a catastrophe where I bumped the table and all my paints are all over the place. Even my little Doc Ock is right here. That's a little Doc Ock that Jess won for me when we were out in Penticton. So we'll put him over there. But a lot of people ask me, what type of paints do I use? And these are it. Yes, I like Pop-Tarts. That's why there's a box of Pop-Tarts back there. So these are the paints that I like to use. I use Liquitex inks. I use Liquitex Basics. There we go. I use a lot of Vallejo, like these ones. The Air line. I use some FW inks, like these guys. I use some Golden. So I use a lot of different paints, and I'll get off that picture now. There we go. Apparently, there may be something going on in the import that may be pointing to the previous version of the Cura slicing engine. Okay, so those guys are having their own little private conversation. Where do I get the paint racks? Actually, those paint racks, let me just grab one because there's one empty here. Are you a 3D printer? Do you like to make stuff on your 3D printer? Well, let me tell you, go over to Thingiverse and just look up paint rack and you'll find them. That's how I found them. There's my little commercial. You have 2 different streaming in same time on your YouTube page. I'm not sure what's going on there. Raymond Emsley, there you are. I found the same thing, Ben. Been driving me nuts all day. I think I'm going to uninstall it and go back in a late working version for me. Okay. Which is your best primer for PETG? That's actually a really good question. Let me see if I've got some here on my desk. That's stuff I use right there. Gray primer from Rust-Oleum. Looks like I got to open up another window here because YouTube is doing funny things. Hey, there's Greg Sargent. Those might be yours. Oh, thank you very much, Canadian Maker Project. I don't know why I'm not seeing that over here. Okay, there we go. So they're talking about G-code over there. I'm not sure what's going on over there. Why do I have 2 of these going? That's very strange. What's going on this one? Well, that's the one that everybody's on. This is so weird. I got 2 of the exact same streams going, and I can... Wow. I have 5 people watching over on one, and I use filler primer. I use filler primer quite often, actually. Let me just go back here. I've got... I don't know why it's streaming the same on 2 separate channels, but it is. It's weird. So, in any case... somebody asked me one time, what is that thing in the background? And that is actually a cyclone hooked up to my shop vac, which I made a cart for. And what it does, it actually keeps debris out of my shop vac. Everything goes into the cyclone, it dumps into a bucket, and it's cool. So yeah, these paint racks, you can download them off Thingiverse. That's where I downloaded this one. I don't remember the artist's name for this, but yes, Cyclones do rock, Greg. I built that cart and everything there for the shop vac, and I got a big shop vac on there. So when I'm doing woodworking, and as you can tell, I have a lot of wood in the background here, where I do a little bit of woodworking from time to time. So I absolutely love it. So it's one of those things that is cool. If I could do more woodworking in this space, I would, but this space is going to get set up for doing shows from home. Those days when I can't make it into the studio, I will have to use, of course, the webcams because we don't have the higher quality cameras here. But these webcams, the webcam I'm using right now, the one that I'm on, is a C920, which is very cool. Absolutely love it. So and I've got another one over here that was that top-down view that I showed you guys earlier. Let me see if I can get back to that. Hang on a sec. There we go. So this top-down view. So this is another C920, and I've got it located on a boom arm so that I can move it around, and then I've got another light over here as well. Here, let me see if I can change this over for you guys. There we go. So check this out. So if I turn you this way, you guys can see, yes, it's a mess. And yes, there's lots of stuff there. But you can see that there's that camera on a boom arm along with another microphone. And yes, there's Vader and one of the biker troopers from the new Solo movie, which I really, really enjoyed. I loved that movie. Not a lot of people did, but I absolutely loved that movie. Oh, there we go. Now I'm fixed. Well, I'm not fixed. But you guys know what I mean. So somehow I am streaming to two separate places at the same time, and I don't understand why, but okay, who cares? So yeah, other than that, I'm working on this guy still. And you can see there's some dry brushing that's gone on already. We've got a little bit more yet to do. I've got Wonder Woman I've been working on, painting her. I've got a couple of others that I'm going to be doing. Canadian Maker Project. This is not the 2100. This is the 2005 by Audio Technica, the ATR 2005. I've had these mics forever. If you guys go back and watch a show that I used to do called Between the Pages, you'll see these mics. These are the mics that I used. I really like them. Although I brought all of my gear that I had in the studio, and some of you guys might have seen that before. It was my ATEM television studio and my audio rack and my mixing console and all that other stuff. Well, we brought that home along with my wireless mic. And here at home, I've got an audio interface that, oh, look at that. Now it's getting red on me. I've got an audio interface here at home that is much better for what we do. We don't need a lot of that stuff, because recently we were able to go into a recycling place. Brian found these cards in a recycling place. So we went and got them, and we got two of these. What cards were they? They were the Black Magic, not the intensities, the duos. Capture card. They use SDI, so we're using those in the new computer that we built at the studio. Black Magic Decklink Duo. That's what they were. Yeah. So Fog FPV, the nozzle on the CRX, anybody have a part number? That is actually the part number for that, funny enough, is the same Mark 8 nozzle that you're going to find anywhere. It's the exact same Mark 8 that you're going to find anywhere, just so you know. So there we go. We got that chat going. Yeah, they're on the AliExpress page, like Brian was saying. Are you Ben's asking me, am I growing a beard for the winter due to the forecast for a tough winter? Yes. Yes and no. Normally this time of year, I start to shave everything down. But we're going to actually be doing something pretty cool soon. I talked to a gentleman here in Calgary who sells men's shaving supplies, and he's just created a 3D printed shaving brush. And for any of you guys that are in my age bracket, you'll know what a shaving brush is. You actually take it, you put it into actually lathered soap, and then you put it on. So you're not using like the creams from the can or anything like that. But he's created this 3D printed brush along with a bunch of other accessories for grooming. And it's actually kind of cool. So we're going to get together. You guys are going to get to see me use his products. And you're going to get to see me either shave it all off or tidy it up. I'm not sure what's going to go on there yet. Hi guys, I'm about to do my first bit of maintenance on my Anycubic. Can somebody recommend a good lubricant for the rails and the Z-screws? As a matter of fact, I can. And I've got some right here in front of me. Wow, isn't that convenient? This is the stuff that I'm going to tell you to go out and get their Hoppy Nacky. This is Loctite's LB8042 white lithium grease. Go get yourself some of this, and that's the stuff you need. Creality just released their stuff on AliExpress. I did say that. Where can you get a new hot end for the CRX? Greg Gleason. Greg, you can also get those on AliExpress. We don't have them currently at Spool 3D, but I believe they are going to be coming in. Mine broke last night when my stuff slipped off the bed 14 hours in. Ouch. Is the 90th age bracket? No. Well, my age, I'm in my mid 50s, so people that are in their 50s and older will recognize the brush and the razor. This what is known as a safety razor. You actually put blades into it and then you shave your face. I've done that. I like it. I like it better than regular razors for some reason, although it's much easier to cut yourself with. So there we go. 55, Johnny says. So, Johnny, you remember those brushes? Yeah, we're going to do a whole episode where I'm going to just shave. We're going to start in the studio. We're going to go to my bathroom, and then we're going to end up back at the studio. So that's going to be an interesting. You guys get to come in my bathroom with me. How cool is that? Well, that might be a scary episode. Maybe we'll save that for around closer to Halloween. But that should be a lot of fun. Ben, you're not 60. Yes, you are 61. Just a bunch of us old geezers do 3D printing. Ben, my dear friend, 3D printed Band-Aids. Love that. Rover saying too much information. So we don't want to scare Rover away. Jerry's Projects, 54. Greg's 48. My grandparents taught me how to shave with a straight razor. Very cool. It's another thing that you don't see here anymore. Well, now they're weapons, aren't they? So, yeah, we're gonna do a whole episode using 3D printed stuff. There will be some powered tools that aren't 3D printed, but maybe I'll make some combs to go on my cutter, or a roll of razor from yeah, from World War II. Okay, I'm not that old, but I do have Band-Aids in my office. So there you guys go. I have Band-Aids. I always have Band-Aids. I'm forever cutting myself. And if I'm not cutting myself, my wife is cutting herself. I have a filleting knife. For anybody that knows what a filleting knife is, For any of you fishermen out there, and I know lots of you guys know what a filleting knife is. My wife keeps using it to cut things in the kitchen, and every time she takes it out of the sheath, she cuts her finger. Surprisingly enough, she has not cut her finger down to the bone where she's needed stitches. So I'm going to actually take her fingers and I'm going to measure them and I'm going to make some 3D printed guards for them. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, Ben saying they had the rolls of razor from World War II. They had their own sharpening stone built into the case. That's actually really cool. Yeah, so if you guys are wanting to be part of the show, we're getting on to an hour here. If you guys want to be part of the show in the future, I am going to work things out so that we can actually have you guys down in the bottom, and then we can have a real discussion instead of you guys listening to me. This is the first time we're doing a real live stream from my home, and I apologize that we didn't get it right tonight, but we will in 2 weeks when we come back. So every second week starting today. So in 2 weeks, we're going to have another live stream on a Friday night at 7:00. We'll make sure that we get it right. We might do some testing throughout the weeks. So if you guys want to jump in on that, make sure that you do. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Anybody got any questions regarding 3D printing before we wrap it up tonight? Probably, maybe, kind of. I'm going to go and enjoy a movie with my wife. It is Friday night after all. And I've been watching, for anybody that knows me really well, knows that I'm a huge Halloween fan. I absolutely love this time of year. And usually at the beginning of October, I start watching a new Halloween style themed movie every night. Last night, I watched Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. It's not a scary movie, but it's a fun movie. Tonight, I think we are going to watch one of my all-time favorites, and that is Trick or Treat, which is an anthology of stories that all kind of wrap up together at the end. So that's what we are going to go and do. And Christopher, happy birthday to you. You're going to be 44 in 3 days. Well, if we don't see you in 3 days, happy birthday. Just need one more for that fan vent on the hot end. Okay. With that said, guys, I am going to end the stream here. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. We are going to do this again in 2 weeks. I am going to, like I said, I'm going to try and fix these little issues so that we can have a nice little roundtable discussion about 3D printing in 2 weeks. Okay. So enjoy the weekend. Remember, the first layer is always your foundation to a great print. And I'm going to see you guys back again on Monday with a brand new episode. Till then.